Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today I want to show you a cool deck that you can use to play against Tearlaments. I have showed you Labyrinth in the past, and I also said to you that this deck will get a cool wave or two cool waves of support in the future. This will become a lot stronger. Unfortunately, all the floodgates got hit to one. This is not that impactful when it comes to the rivalry, the Gozen match, but when it comes to the skill drain, as you definitely would play 3 skill drain in the future, not right now in this meta. But yeah, this makes the deck a bit weaker, but I think investing in this core is quite a good idea. Obviously, given that you like to play trap decks, play slower decks, play control decks. If you do not like trap and reactive decks, then do not play this, because this is this. If you like the combo decks, then go play the combo decks. And do not play the Labyrinth deck. Other than that, it's pretty cool to invest. Also, it's quite cheap in the sense that, of course, this has not a good secret pack where you can pull the cards from, like the triple Welcome Labyrinth and the Lovely Lady of the Silver Castle. But yeah, you basically only need these here, these 3, these 2, and then maybe the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. And the extra deck you basically don't need at all. I said this already in the budget tier list or in the budget deck video. I also have some replays after this deck list that's explaining where I will show you why this deck is super strong and is super good right now, especially against Tearlaments. The good thing about Labyrinth, and this is why this deck is so strong and good in a lot of matters, is you can take the core of the deck, which basically is 3 times the Ariana, 2 Lovely, 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and the Welcome Labyrinth. This you could, and 1 Labyrinth. This you could regard the core of the deck and the pots maybe, and then you can build the traps around them. So you can like look at the meta and you are like, okay, maybe I need the Dimensional Barrier because there are a lot of fusion plays, a lot of XYZ plays, and or a lot of decks are playing, I don't know, XYZ monsters. The 3 best decks are XYZ decks. Maybe you are in a meta that consists of that, then you can use this card. Or for example, right now in the Tearlament meta, you can basically play triple Soul Drain, which activate by paying 1000 life points, and monsters that are banished as well as monsters in the graveyard cannot activate their effects. So this is basically Tearlaments, so do not play the game. And you can do this with Labyrinth, as you do not especially need your graveyard. You can also play the Dimensional Fissure, because this only considers or only concerns monsters. The important thing is that you can win the grind game through using your Lovely Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, because this can reset your traps. So you can reset your imperms, you can reset your torrentials, you can reset your compulsories, you can reset your welcome labyrinths, or you can reset your dimensional barriers. So if you manage to, for one time or at one point, activate dimensional barrier, for example against Tearlaments, and then can basically reset this all the time, then you just win the game, because activating dimensional barrier this allows your opponent from they cannot like fusion summon if you pick fusion, and then the effect of fusion summon monsters on the field are negated. So this is basically tech against Tearlaments, and this is also tech as this is not that big of a problem. Of course, it's bad if your Lovely gets banished, and then maybe 2 of your Lovelies get destroyed and banished. Then you basically cannot win the grind game anymore. But other than that, your monsters going to the graveyard or not being able to activate their effects in graveyard doesn't really matter. So that's why this engine fits in this deck really well. So we have triple Ariana. Of course, this is for searching all the other Labyrinth cards, mainly your Welcome Labyrinth, or maybe sometimes your Lovely or your Labyrinth. This especially you need in grind games, because this puts bonus effects on every trap that you activate, bonus effects on your Welcomes to destroy a card, and bonus effects on your other traps to summon one of your feed monsters from the graveyard or from the hand, which is the more like less important effect of this card, but it's also a good effect. Then you have 2 lava golems. You could also opt for going for the disciple, the Ra Disciple, which tributes 3, but I think that Tearlament mainly ends up on 2 monsters on the end board, or ends up on 2 important monsters that you want to go lava golem with on the end board. But yeah, if you have the ultra rare version, the Ra Sphere mode, you can also go with this. Then of course we have 2 Lovely Lady. I always say Lovely Lady, but of course Lady is the next card coming, which will make this deck quite a lot stronger. You have the Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, which can reset your traps Also, your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to your traps, so he cannot activate something if you, like for example, compulsory his Abyss Dweller or something like that. I don't know if you wanted to do that, but for example, you activate this and then he cannot quick effect because this is on the field. You can reset your traps every turn, and then when a monster leaves the field by your trap effects, this also counts for your own monster. So if you basically compulsory your own, I don't know, Ariana back to hand, then you can destroy a card on the field or in the hand of your opponent. So this is the core card, super important card. Then we have 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prisons. If you have 3, I would say play 3. I don't have 3, I only have 2, and I don't know how to craft another one at this moment. This is awesome because this protects your back row, protects your trap if you activate this, and then if a normal trap is activated, you can summon this and you can search basically any trap from the deck and set it to the field. So you can search your Soul Drain, set it to the field, activate this, and it's basically game over for your opponent. So this is really important core card. Then you have a double Pot of Duality and double Pot of Extravagance. You can use the extra deck for the pot off. You can always banish 6, it doesn't matter. The only card that you do not really want to banish, but it's also fine if it happens, is the Entes. Also, if you have more of this, put in more of these, because this is awesome. There's also the Abyss Dweller. You can go into, it will not happen a lot, but you could go into the Abyss Dweller with 2 Ariana. If you have it, put it in. If you don't, then it doesn't really matter. But as I said, you have the pots just to draw more cards, and because you can get rid of your extra deck, it doesn't matter. Then you have the Labyrinth, which, as I already said, is important for grinding, winning the grind games, as this makes every trap you activate, and especially the Welcome Labyrinth, that you can reset with its own effect and this effect, and then can always destroy a card on the field with your Labyrinth. And then we have 2-dimensional fissures, of course. This is a tearlament tag. All monsters will get banished. Then we have 2 torrentials. You could play 3. This is really strong. Blowing up your opponent's boards, can always reset this. 3 compulsory is super strong, as you mainly want to use this on your opponent's extra deck monsters to put them back into the extra deck. This is where the most value comes from. Also, this activates this effect. This activates your Ariana, which, when something is sent to the hand with one of your traps, can then draw a card or special summon a card from the hand, a fiend card, that is. This is a dimensional barrier. Of course, you activate this, you call fusion or maybe something else. It depends on what you're playing against. Call fusion, and then your opponent cannot fusion summon anymore and cannot activate, or every effect of a fusion monster that is already on the field is negated. So this is obviously super good against Tearlaments. Then this deck is perfectly able of playing triple evenly matched. You basically also need this going second, and yeah, this is a super strong trap. Nothing to say here, I think you know the game. We have triple infinite impermanence. When it comes to Tearlaments, you always want to imperm the kit colors if you can. Otherwise, of course, if there is only a Rhino Heart and you know that they will not go, or they cannot play anything but the Rhino Heart, then you could also imperm the Rhino Heart, then they cannot fusion summon the kit colors. But yeah, kit colors is the main target with the imperm. We have Trap Trick, of course. This can basically get any other trap to the deck, normal trap that is, not the continuous traps, for example. You can get this to the banish. You can have to put 1 in the banish, and then you can set the other one on the field and activate it this turn. So you can always react with this, but keep in mind that after this trap, you can only activate then 1 more trap. So with this trap, you can basically search any of the other normal traps. Maybe you need a TT, maybe you need a dimensional barrier. Then, of course, triple Welcome Labyrinth. This is the core of the deck, being able to summon these or this, and this can reset itself once a card leaves the field by a trap effect. So if you use this, for example, to bounce back your Ariana, then you can reset this from the graveyard, but not in the turn that it was sent there. So if you activate this on your turn, you can then not activate the second put back on field effect this turn again. You basically have to wait for the other turn. Then, this is pretty standard. You can play Gozen Match, you only have Dark Monsters. You can play Rivalry, you only have Fiend Monsters. Obviously, keep in mind that this is a Rock Monster. This can be a bit tricky with the Rivalry, but basically this always works. And then Skill Drain, super unfortunate that there are not 3 of this in the game, because the next card, you can see this is a big body, and the next card we get, the Lady Labyrinth, is also a really big body, 3000 attack. This is a big body, so if you activate Skill Drain, then you basically can run over your opponent's monsters with your big body monsters. And then the Soul Drain, this is the special attack against Tearlaments, super good card, and the Labyrinth deck is perfectly able to play this because it can also search this via the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. And yeah, that is why this deck is super awesome. And as you can see, there are a lot of text in this, but this feels natural for the deck. So there are decks like, for example, Stride, when you put in the shifter, that feels really unnatural and is really bad for the deck itself. But here, this perfectly works. These dimensional barriers perfectly work. This here perfectly works and does not conflict with any of the engine cards. So that is quite good. Obviously, this is a bit in conflict with these cards. If they get banished, that's not that amazing, and then you cannot summon them back with your Labyrinth because they are banished. That's a bit unfortunate. So these here are way better than is a Dimensional Fissure, but still a good card that can stop the Tearlaments. As I already have said, this is your main card that you want to put to your grave with cards that put something from the extra deck to the grave to then destroy a card on the field. As you can see, we are not playing Dogmatica Punishment in here. You can also opt to play Dogmatica Punishment, as you then can use it to destroy opponents' cards on the field and then send these to the graveyard. We're also playing Abyss Dweller. As I already said, you could make this with the 2 Arianas if you have to and disrupt your opponent. This same goes for the Baguska and the Dugaris. You could do this if you have 2 of them, use them, but as I already said, it's not necessary. You have the text in the deck to use against Tearlaments, so it's not super necessary, but you have it if you need it. So without further ado, let's go into some replays and show you the power of the deck and how you can use it yourself. So the first replay I got for you is against Tearlaments. So we are going first, we are drawing, we are playing the pot of Duality. We are seeing, and normally you would grab, just for a moment, normally you would grab the Welcome Labyrinth, but we already had it. Also, if you're playing in Diamond, you may just grab the Dimensional Fissure to counter the Tearlaments. We are getting the Fissure, playing the Fissure, and then it's a classic set 2. So we have the Welcome Labyrinth, which is like the core card that we need to summon our lovely lady from the deck, and we have a Dimensional Barrier for calling Fusion Monsters. And let's see how this plays out against our opponent. He plays Instant Fusion, I react with Dimensional Barrier, and he now cannot use his Instant Fusion, obviously, because he cannot no longer fusion summon monsters. He normal summons Rhino, plays the Scream, but obviously we are at the point that any monster that is sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So this is basically dead. This is also dead. He could send, but then this goes into the banished pile. He attacks. I summon the lovely, because she is really lovely, Lady of the Labyrinth, no, the lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, obviously. And now this is what I'm talking about. We can now basically just reset any of our traps. We reset the Welcome Labyrinth, could also reset the Dimensional Barrier and just call it a day. And yeah, we have also the Golden Match, which is good against Tearlaments because they have Water, Attribute and Dark, so this works. And he scoops, giving us the win. As you can see, if you get some sort of setup like this here on the field, then it's just over. I like to contrast this to example for Darklaw. I showed you Darklaw in my hero videos, and Darklaw is also very good against Tearlaments, but Tearlaments can very easy out the Darklaw, or what means not very easy, but they can out the Darklaw much easier than they can they can get rid of, for example, the Dimensional Fissure or the Dimensional Barrier. This all is way more disruptive, and that's why this is, I think, one of the strongest counters against Tearlaments. Next game we have here is against Sword Soul. This was a longer game, but also quite a cool game. He starts, make the Moye play, which I will. He shows the emergence. I tend to imperm this all the time. This is the best imperm target you have, or the Tire if he plays a Tire. Obviously, he is now able to get his Long Yarn, so he will be able to play more. Could have been also the case that he has the Long Yarn, but nothing to discard. In this case, he's able to discard the other emergence that he has, a Long Yarn, and now go for the Supreme Sovereign Sheng Ying. And yeah, he makes 1200 damage to us, and now the turn comes to us. He plays Macrocosmos, which this is alright because I have the Dimensional Fissure, though this is more problematic for this deck because now every card gets banished, and we definitely do not want our traps to get banished because we want to reset this, for example, Welcome Labyrinth. This is unfortunate. So we play the Ariana, we go search for the Labyrinth, as we already have the Welcome, we activate Labyrinth, and now we activate our Lord, set the traps, and I also set this because this can basically now get destroyed. Maybe he destroys this, or maybe he plays around something because this lies here. Maybe the clever thing would have been to put this here in this column, so this looks like an imperm, so I can imperm this here, because basically he has the Macrocosmos out and this is now useless. It's useless against the Sword Sword deck anyways, or not that important, let's say. Here now I make a little mistake because I do not know the one effect of the Chen Ying here. I let him summon the token and now I activate, and of course one card is banished, so I activate my TT. He will now banish my Labyrinth, of course, and now I realize that he can just like tribute a monster and protect himself from being destroyed. This I do not know, and now he banishes the Labyrinth, and once again the Imperm. I activate my Lord to summon it, but also more important to get another trap, which I use the compulsory. And this is what I'm talking about when talking about the compulsory. Sending this back to the actual deck is super like strong, because under this there are like 3 resources. The token, the long yarn, and the card he discarded are basically under this. Of course he now runs over this, that's unfortunate. Passes over, but I still have the Welcome Labyrinth, with which I now activate in the end phase. Unfortunately this will get banished now. Otherwise I could have reset this. So that's why this is really bad against the Labyrinth deck, because I now cannot reset any trap from the graveyard. I am drawing the compulsory, which is nice. We are basically in the grind game now. I send this back, set the compulsory, and destroy the Macrocosmos. And here I was like thinking, do I destroy the Macrocosmos or do I destroy the card in hand? Because obviously destroying the Macrocosmos would allow me to next turn, if I use this, reset this, but it does not help me this turn because I cannot reset something, so it doesn't really matter. So I think in the end the better play would have been to destroy the hand card. This would have been the safer play. This is more the play of we are playing a longer game. This is better in the long game, my decision, but this was or would have been the better short game decision. He draws main phase 1, battle phase, and I'm like, okay, he has evenly matched, and he has evenly matched. I banish everything but the lovely, and yeah. Now unfortunately these also get banished, of course, and I draw the Ariana, which is nice. I cannot kill him this turn, but he scoops and we win the game. So this can happen if you play the Labyrinth game, and I personally like that you can end up with these longer grindy games. Yeah, but you have to see for yourself, do you like it, or do you more like the combo decks where you kill your opponent in one turn? But I have one more replay to show you. And for our last replay, we are playing against Flu Wanderis, which you will also face a lot on the ladder. Our hand is okay, I would say. You always want to have the Welcome Labyrinth. He plays the Shifter, which is not good for us. We definitely do not want our traps banished, but then we are lucky and he basically has a bad start. We draw the Welcome, which is pretty nice. And now the good thing, of course, is, though now he activates the Macrocosmos, so once again our traps will get banished, but of course, in the next turn, in his turn, when we can activate our trap cards, we would no longer be under Shifter. End phase, it goes over to him. Unfortunately, our traps will now get banished. But we have the Skrill Drain, which is super strong against the deck. He goes the pot, draws 2, and goes another pot, as they always do. They have a lot of pots in the deck. He finds the map, which he then picks, of course, which is quite a strong card. Activates the map. I think to search Robina. Oh no, he has Robina. Of course, now we are chaining the Skill Drain. Bam. And this is really oppressive. The one card that we have to keep in mind now is his spell card that tributes our card for a tribute summon. This is obviously dangerous. I activate the Gozen match. Not being sure what he has in hand, because some of the monsters are wind monsters, other are water monsters. Though he is able to activate or play his Stri, which of course, no, this can go back to hand, but this one will get negated by the Skill Drain, so we are in a good position, and we also can go into our lovely lady in a moment. Once again, I said it incorrectly. Here goes battle phase. I flip up the Welcome Labyrinth, summon the lovely to the field. Now he basically has to pass over, and he activates Dimensional Fissure. I mean, okay. He's also attacked hard against Tearlaments. Yeah, we are drawing, getting the Pot of D. We are activating Pot of D to look for the first 3 cards. 2 Skill Drains and a D Fissure. I pick the Skill Drain, the Soul Drain for like, yeah. I go battle, and now I do not set the Soul Drain because basically I do not want to like clog up the last spot that I have free here. Passing over, and you can see we are in a stale situation. He gives up because he cannot break a board, and this will be a situation that you often end up in the games you will win. You will basically lock your opponent out from making any more plays, and thereby winning the game. So yeah guys, if you like the deck, pick it up. I think it's really strong against the Tearlament meta right now, and it will be strong in the future, will be strong against future meta decks, will get a lot of cool support in the future. I would definitely recommend this, but just look at the replays, look at the deck, and get a feeling for if you like the deck, if you like the style, how the deck plays. Otherwise, maybe it's a waste of gems for you. So thanks for being here. I hope we will see each other in the next video. If you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up, because this seems to help the channel grow, and we are growing a lot. Thanks guys for being here, and we will see each other in the next one.